Hey y'all, Jessie Petersen here with Let's Make Art. I'm a mixed media artist and I love art journaling. What is art journaling? I mean, have I explained that lately?
That's a great question.
Art journaling is whatever you want it to be. It's a place where you can make art, where you can show it or not show it to anybody. You can process what's happening in life. You can explore your art supplies and try new things. It's not art that's hanging on the wall for other people to see or judge or evaluate. It's yours. It's your place to be creative and you get to do whatever you want. And that is the best explanation for art journaling I can think of.
It's a great explanation and it sounds extremely satisfying.
Thanks. This is Keenan,
yes,
our art cheerleader, and also he tells me what to do as far as camera and making your best viewing experience.
I do my best.
He's pretty great. We're glad you're here. Okay, so today's video is our Lagniappe video, which also needs a little explanation. Lagniappe is a Cajun, Louisiana word that just means a little something extra. So this video is all about just kind of looking at what we made and the theme that we've been working in. And the theme that we've been working in is life roads and life maps. And we've been having a lot of fun with gouache. And if you haven't seen any of these projects, you can check them out. We're gonna do a couple things today. We're going to do a little flip through our journal and look at the projects that we've made together. We're gonna do a bonus project. That's this right here. And we are going to do a little question and answer session with our friends. Yeah, a little Q&A. So we have a really awesome Facebook group where a lot of our community that interacts with our art journaling hangs out. And there was a post there that invited questions, and I'm going to answer the questions that were there. So if you're interested in being a part of this community, you can check that out. Okay, so one of the things that I like to do before I start, well, let's do the flip. Let's look at our projects that we did, right?
Do the flip.
Flips. So this is the project we're gonna do. This is my journal I'm working in. These are actually the ones that I've been doing on camera, because I do one and then two. I do this a couple of times in this whole process. This is where I keep my techniques and prompts. And for our projects, you can choose between techniques and prompts to mix and match and make your projects however you want. And so we created some of these projects with those prompts, along with collage paper and whatnot. So this is our butterfly project. That was all about thinking about the future, and sometimes that is imagining something that's hard to imagine, like from a caterpillar, imagining what it would be like if it was a butterfly, right?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of thinking about our future and stepping out of our comfort zone. Small little fact, this little map piece from the collage paper is actually a map of the city of New Orleans.
What?
In case you wanted to know what map that was. I got to slip in Louisiana
yeah,
there
nice.
sometimes, you know?
Good plug.
This is the life roads map that we did. And on my first version of this, I actually had my names of my kid and some of the characteristics that they have, and the just different roads, like my career and motherhood and stuff, were all on here. For the tutorial, I just kept it simple, and we had a good time creating these textures with gouache and this map. And it's been really neat to see what everybody's been doing with this project. I've seen people do quotes, I've seen people do places they've lived, I've seen so many takes on this, and each life road is different, and it's really inspiring. Now I want to do a couple more based on what I've seen.
That's cool.
So I gotta check that out.
I need to check that out. I feel like I haven't been hyping other people up very well lately.
Oh, get on there and be an art cheerleader, because we've got some awesome things happening there. And a lot of new people are joining, so thanks for checking us out. Yeah. This one is the right brain, left brain tutorial that we traced our hand, and we talked about the different modes of thinking and switching back and forth between those, and thinking about, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, what are things that we can, work on to have a more balanced experience. And then I did the other side of my brain, which you guys haven't seen this. And it's funny because I really think I'm a creative person, and I like to daydream and trust my intuition, and I like to skip around, and I like to know what the big picture is. And so I always think I'm not that other side. I'm all of this. But when I really started thinking about left brain qualities, I do like having a plan. And I think it helps my creativity to have a plan, right?
You have a plan for today.
I do. Clear priorities. The left brain is definitely attracted to clear priorities, and those are good things. I like things to happen in sequence for the most part, and I kind of do like facts and details, and we like sharing random facts and details on here all the time, right?
That's true.
Logical linear thinking. That one, it takes some effort for me because I'm all over the place. But I think it's interesting to be thinking about those things and how they define our personality maybe a little, or things that we can strengthen. Logical linear thinking is definitely something I can strengthen. So I had fun doing this, and I think I'm going to add some more to it, but this is kind of where I landed. I just used some of our collage paper and tore it and put it on there and added that little bit of, when we did this kind of aged corners, I decided I wanted a little bit more of that there. And then I've just been playing around with my gouache and whatnot, and I'll show you a couple other examples. But I want to go back to this life map and show you, I have several journals sitting around that I work in before I get to the final result, the final project. And this one was one that I added collage paper in, so you could do that. Just lots of fun things you can do. So yeah, sometimes I don't do this one time. I do it a couple of times and then, refine it.
That was much different from the project that you finished on.
Yeah, but
I like that.
I like this one for some reasons, and I like that one for some reasons. So
absolutely.
just wanted to show you that. Okay, so that's our flip, and I love seeing your flips, like when you flip through your journal to kind of see the whole. Oh, I know what I was going to show you because I was looking at this. Let me see if I can get it. I think it was in this one. It's not. Oh, so I was playing around with these little paint swatches and then kind of doing a map like that. And so I wanted to recreate it again in this one. And I really focused in on the textures and adding a couple more loops in there and having fun with that. And then I'm going to go back and do that. So you can try different techniques out in your journal. Don't be scared, just go for it. And I did bigger chunks of paint, and I tried that out, and I was kind of exploring that. So you can play around with scale and color and just go for it,
That's exciting.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this, well, no, I gotta paint in this one. That's what I'm doing. This is our example of what we're gonna do. All right, our project. But before we start our project, I like to set just a little intention for our time that we're creating together. Because making time for art is important, I think, and if you're here and you're making time for art, then I just want to say good job, because that's half the battle, right? And then just, sometimes I have to mentally make the transition into making art. Sometimes that means just getting a cup of hot tea at night when I'm working at home, and that kind of is tells my brain we're gonna make some art, we're gonna settle down, Sometimes I put on some music or light a candle, whatever it is for you that helps you kind of just relax and make the transition from a busy billion things on your to-do list day and worrying about everybody else's stuff to this is my time. So that's why I like to set an intention, is just kind of a way to transition into making and creating. So today I was thinking about setting the intention of kindness. And you can choose whatever. If this doesn't fit for you, then throw it right out there and find your own thing. But I'm thinking about kindness today. Kindness to myself. Kindness with my art making. Kindness where I am on the road in my life right now, because I am exactly where I need to be. I can be kind about where I am, and what my expectations are and all that stuff can just kind of go on the side for a minute. I can also focus on kindness when it comes to others and not comparing my work and being okay where I am, and acknowledging the relationships that I have around me and the things that I'm grateful for. So just take a deep breath and forget about the other things that you got going on right now and just focus on this.
Nice.
All right, so this is a project we're going to do. It's a simple one, but it's fun. And we're going to use our outline, which is this heart outline. And I thought it would be fun to do a heart with maps, and you can choose to do whatever you like. You could choose to feature a place that you just love in your journal like this and use the heart. It could be a place that you've been to, or it could be a place that you hope to go to that you've never been to before. I really want to go to Iceland one day, so that would be one that I'd want to put in here.
That would be amazing to go to.
Yeah, that's on my bucket list for sure. Matter of fact, I'm going to have to do a page about Iceland now in my journal. I'm going to have to do that.
Nice.
This one I decided to tell. I like storytelling in my art journaling too, and I thought I would tell the story of me and my husband, and we came from very different backgrounds. I grew up in Mississippi on the Gulf Coast. So if you look at Mississippi and you look at the bottom corner, there's a little town in here called Escatawba. That's where I grew up. I went to high school in Moss Point, and then I moved along the coast as I got older in my 20s and worked in different areas, and I just loved being on the Gulf Coast. And I wasn't very far from New Orleans, and I drive to New Orleans to go experience the city, about an hour and a half. It was awesome, good times. And sometimes I go over to Mobile because they got good stuff over there too. So yeah, I loved growing up on the coast. So I'm going to use my heart, and I'm going to trace and try to get as much as I can of that heart half of this. And then I moved to Utah after Hurricane Katrina. I lived in Provo, which is right here in the middle. My husband grew up in Mapleton, which is really tiny and just like a little bit farther away from Provo. And then we lived in Springville after we got married. So this is a important place in my life. Nice. And that's where Robbie grew up. He grew up near mountains, and I grew up near the water.
And now you're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, now we live in Missouri. Total compromise. No mountains, no water.
Total compromise.
You don't get either one. But we get these beautiful plains and sunsets, and that's really awesome too.
That's true. That is true.
Okay, so we're going to need our... And I want to make sure I leave room for questions. So if this seems like a little quick, then just know that I'm thinking about that. Okay, actually, I'm getting excited. So I wanted to tell you about what we were doing, but we're not ready to trace that yet. We will be in a second.
You are getting excited.
We got to do our background first.
Oh, yeah.
This is like you know, get to play with gouache a little bit more. So let me get
That's
my
how you
journal.
know it's good, though, if you're excited about it.
Yes. Oh, I love it, love it, love it. And this gouache is so fun. So you can use the palette to mix this when you're on the go. That came in your box, but I'm going to use this so you guys can see what I'm doing here.
Hey, I just thought of another factor of what you should think about for your intention.
What?
The kindness should also include, if you get excited about this, allow yourself to be excited about it.
I love that.
Don't be embarrassed about it.
Sometimes I do get embarrassed about how excited I am, and sometimes I feel like I'm too much for people and I need to calm down, you know? Yeah. And if you're like that, if you have my kind of personality and you can relate with that, then be kind to yourself.
Yeah, be nice.
Yeah, I think I've always been that person that's like a little much for some people when it comes to things I'm excited about. Other things I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Mostly just art is what I get excited about. Okay, so we got some color there with our gouache. And this Holbein gouache is just, I don't know how else to explain it besides delicious, because I also care about food.
Delicious.
But it's delicious. Like the color is just delicious. I don't know how else to.
Is that gold?
Yeah, this is our yellow ochre. And I'm just going to, actually I'm going to take my journal out of my little.
Journal wallet?
Yeah. Our Traveler's Notebook cover. And it's so easy because it's just that little band, but I'm going to set this aside for now.
I know I'm not allowed to make descriptions of products anymore.
Why not?
Well, I get excited about the descriptions and go into really strange detail about things that don't actually relate to the product. But I feel like it'd be really fun to just decide, change that thing's name on the website as the Journal Wallet.
Well, kind of is. And you said a while back like it was kind of like a cowboy's wallet or something.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's a check, like a hold a checkbook.
Yeah.
The Journal Wallet.
I think I'm going to put a little yellow in here.
I've also decided another thing about an intention with this roadmaps theme.
Oh, I like that you're excited about the intention today.
I just think it's cool. Okay, so you also mentioned if kindness doesn't work for you today.
It's totally fine. That's not a statement.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'm feeling a little more sassy and I don't want to be kind.
You have been sassy this week.
But everyone drives a different vehicle in the road at which they are traveling.
Yeah.
And that could be your intention. Today, I feel like driving a different intention vehicle. Kindness is yours. Mine is, I'm going to roll with kindness too, but that's a bad example, I guess. But I think, yeah, we could do like some people are driving minivans. And that could be, their intention could be just family. Or they just want to journal about their family.
Yeah. Also, I used to judge hard about minivans whenever I didn't have kids, and I was like, I am going to be an SUV mom all the way. I am never going to have a minivan. And then 3 kids, that minivan sliding door business is so good.
I've always been a minivan mom. I'm a big fan.
So, you know, you never know, like, if you're going to be in that phase.
Yeah.
You just...
Some days you want to be in a two-door coupe just zooming down the road.
Oh my gosh, one of my favorite cars that I had in the past was a Volkswagen Bug with a convertible top. And it doesn't fit my phase of life right now. But, you know, just cruising with my favorite song with the top down on a nice day. Oh, man, that was good times. Good times.
Good times. Gosh.
Okay, so I think we got some yellow in there. Let's go with this orange because this is brilliant orange. That's what it's called.
Brilliant orange.
Because it's so dang bright. Brilliant. Now that we talked about colors being delicious, I'm like, what would this taste like if it had a good taste? Like, I don't know.
Brilliant orange?
Yeah.
It 100% would taste like an orange.
Like citrusy.
Citrusy.
Also, it could be kind of peppery, like hot.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking spicy.
Oh, I see.
Like payao.
Okay.
You know? That's definitely like a Cajun thing to say. Like, it's like, it was payao. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I went there. I don't know how to explain it. I'm backing up.
Because Lagniappe, it's right in line.
Oh, man. Okay, so if you see, I'm dropping in water and color, and I'm just kind of playing with these textures. I'm just having a good time. And I'm thinking about, like, balance and composition a little bit. Not too much, but I'm like, okay, I got orange over here. I'm going to put a little orange over here. Then I want a little bit of pigment in there. Maybe, like, yeah. Just a little bit. I don't know why I rinsed that off, because I want more orange. I'm not done with orange. Okay, yeah. I like it. I'm trying to think of other car analogies, but I'm not really good with cars.
A truck, hard worker.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're just like, you're in work mode.
Ready for anything. I feel like that, like a truck, you're ready
That's
for
true.
whatever.
Especially if you get like a crew cab, you can take the family and you can haul a trailer.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I saw this truck yesterday that was like a big Mamma Jamma truck, and then it had like one of those trailers on the back of it, and like it was pulling a trailer, and it had those big hay bales, and there were like 3 rows of 3 and then a couple stacked on top, and I was like, how's that truck even going? I was impressed.
Those trucks there's some pretty powerful trucks out there.
I'm not gonna lie, there was part of me that was like, am I gonna be behind you this whole time and we're gonna go this speed? But he turned, so it's like, whew, good. Because I wasn't in work mode, I was in like get to my friend's house mode. For dinner already mode. Because when I'm hungry, I'm angry and I'm ready to get there. But I did appreciate that little hay bale site for a minute. There's a lot of hay bales around here.
Yeah, there are.
Okay, so we get some blue going in there. This is like not an exact science. You can just do some swirls of color and it's gonna be great. And I'm just using the round A brush. I didn't say that, but that's what I'm doing.
Those are fun colors.
I just love them. And I chose them because they would mix to pretty colors too, but they are really nice on their own, and I'm using them on their own at the moment.
Yeah.
Just gotta have a little bit more in it.
It's like a nice bouquet.
Ooh, bouquet. I like that. All right, so now we can get into mixing some colors. Whenever you mix 2 colors that are opposite on the color wheel, you can get a more neutral color. So I'm going to mix the blue with, well, I think it's actually turquoise blue, if I want to get correct, with the orange. And I didn't use enough blue, but you can see how this is starting to get a nice brown. There we go. This is a nice kind of grayish brown.
Grayish. I like grayish.
I have some walls in my house that are a little grayish.
Get some quality colored walls at your house.
Okay, so I haven't repainted my house since we bought it. We've only been there for a year, and there might be a cantaloupe room. I mean, like, not a great shade of orange. I mean, maybe whoever lived there had a different kind of setup, and they had a vision, and I just don't catch their vision. So I'm not gonna Not going to be too hard on them for choosing that color, but it is.
It's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, it is. So I appreciate the grays in my house because it's an escape from the cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
Oh. That's okay. I'm going to repaint it one day and it's going to be exciting. It's just funny because it's like our front room that is that color. Have you guys lived in houses where you had a crazy color that you were like, okay, that color's got to go?
I don't think I ever noticed the colors of walls until I became an adult.
Yeah. I grew up in, we had paneling, wood paneling.
Oh, yeah.
Because our house was built in the 70s. And I was really excited for the option to not have paneling when I moved out because there really isn't a lot you can do with that. You can't paint it, or at least my parents were not okay with us painting it.
I think my house has wood paneling that's painted right now.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a little rough.
I mean, I think it could look cool painted, but my dad was like, we're kind of like, we're not going to ruin this wood paneling for whatever reason. See, now if that was a thing, there would be like a billion Pinterest posts on like how to do something about it, you know? But that was before Pinterest. Wow.
It was?
Before Pinterest. I mean, what was the life even like before that? I don't know.
Before the internet?
Okay. We don't have to talk about that. So it's just kind of weird to talk about how there was a world before the internet. And that I may or may not have been in that world. It's fine. Okay, so I'm just getting my neutral colors in here. And you see how that kind of like grounds or makes the other ones kind of pop in a nice way. Let's see, I'm liking that. Okay, and some of whatever I put in here is probably going to get covered up by the heart. Maybe I want some more yellow because I kind of like the idea of there being light between wherever the heart breaks, like the, not heart breaks, you know, the like, kind of like that quote we talked about where the crack, that's where the light comes in. Like, I like the idea of that.
Everything cracks. That's how the light gets through.
Yeah, okay. Feeling good about that. I was hoping that made sense.
Yeah, it totally did.
I love it when you make sense of whatever I'm talking about. Okay, now because this blue is dried, I'm going to go back over it in spots with some yellow and see if we can't get a little green action happening, which is a nice thing to do with gouache. Because you could obviously mix that color, but you can also do layerings because it layers like watercolor, or you can just straight up do a solid color and cover something up if you're not liking it. It's very versatile gouache, and I was really excited for y'all to try it, and I'm just loving seeing what you guys have done with that. So see, if I didn't like the transition, I could just straight cover it up. So you can try a little bit of both there. And I think we're getting close to having our background all ready. Put a little green in there, I think that's nice. I'm using a little more green than I did last time, that's all right. All right, feeling good about that? Yes, all right. So now to our maps portion. We'll do old Mississippi first. And just so you guys know, like I lived in Louisiana and Mississippi, but this is where I was born. I was born in Pascagoula, which is another crazy long name in Mississippi. It's an Indian name. In a hospital called Singing River.
That
Isn't
sounds
that cool?
nice.
It sounds
Singing
made
River?
up, but it's a real place.
I like it.
My dad's best friend was there when I was born. He had just recently passed away from the whole COVID business, but I loved him, Mr. Ronnie, and he was there when I was born, and he always called me baby girl, even when I was a grown-up. So when I think about Singing River Hospital in Pascagoula, I think about Mr. Ronnie.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
For the heart.
Yes.
What if you turn that paper so that the straight line of the heart goes to the bottom of where you were living?
Here? Oh, like it pointed to it?
Instead of the point, put it so you're like lined up with the bottom of the page paper so you get more of it, and then rotate it.
Oh.
I don't know.
To do something like that?
Yeah. Do one of those instead.
I gotcha. I like that. Because it's like, this is where I lived,
Yeah,
but...
and it's flat, and then if you go with the point, it'll go off the page, and you won't get as much.
But I don't want it to go off this part.
It's tough.
So
it's a tough decision.
it is. If I would have printed out the Mississippi and Alabama and Louisiana map, then I would have had
That
more
would have
room.
worked.
Yeah, but in order to get that, I kind of have to do this. But I like your idea.
Okay, cool.
I can just turn it a little bit. I think that'll help. How about that? That'll work.
Nice.
I'm trying. Let's see where it leads us. We already got an example of that one, so we can try this. A little bit. I'm trying not to move it. All right, there we go. Okay, and if you want to tape this down so it doesn't slip on you, it's probably a good idea. And I'm going to trace the whole heart, even though I'm only going to use half, because that'll help me line up my other heart when I want to put them together. You know? Okay. So you can use whatever to trace this. If you got like a crayon or something that shows up better, I don't know. You could do like a pencil like this. All right. So nothing crazy. It's just tracing a heart.
Is there a Cajun word for posture?
No.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
I was really thinking. I was like, gotta back up. Gotta move out the way.
No, you did a good job. I started the sentence too soon. I should have just let it go.
You're good. I want them to be able to see around my hair, because that's usually what's in the way. It's not even my head. It's like my hair. Got a lot of hair, y'all. That likes to get in the way. Okay. I just want to make sure I got a good trace. Oh yeah, that's perfect. So we got that heart, and let's trace our other heart. So we got Escataba in there for sure. We got more of that Thanks, Keenan.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then I'm gonna get Mapleton right there. It's so funny how different we are and how different we grew up. This guy is like quiet and patient and logical and kind and so many things that I'm not. Well, I guess I should be kind to myself.
You should be kind to yourself. That was the whole intention, Jesse.
I just realized as soon as I said it, I was like, well, okay.
You guys just have different personalities.
Yeah, and it's funny how we balance each other out,
Yeah.
because, you know,
It's a great compliment.
I'm always freaking out. He's never freaking out, but he freaks out. I'm like, this is a big deal. I got to calm down and be like a support, right? It's serious business. Although he doesn't really freak out, so. All right. Simple, simple. Okay, so next step is to trim it out. I'm just going to use my X-Acto. Got my handy dandy cutting mat here. I'm just going to follow my lines. Sometimes turning the page is easier, but I don't know how that is for our side camera. I'm really sorry.
It's all right.
Try to keep it in the view.
We know you're cutting.
You could also use scissors. I'm just extra because I always use an X-Acto. Like, this is definitely one of those times when scissors would be perfectly fine. This is not tricky at all. Okay, one heart down, one to go. I was living on the edge. I barely got that one in there.
Nailed
Side
it.
of it. So many good memories on the Gulf Coast. So much yummy seafood that I ate. Used to go sailing with my dad's friend off the coast to the Barrier Islands, which I think might be in this map. I don't know. Caught some redfish.
Were they red, or is that the kind of fish?
It's the kind of fish they are, and they're really yummy.
It's a red fish?
They're just called redfish.
Wow. That is my kind of name to remember.
It's easy. Okay, so now I'm going to stack my two hearts up. And I'm going to cut them in half so I can get the same shape so that they'll match. And I'm just going to do that with my ruler. I'm going to line up the little indent of my heart, like this little part with the point of the heart. This doesn't have to be exact, y'all. Just go for it. Don't think about it. It's gonna be great. And I'm gonna cut both of them at the same time. There we go. So Provo's on that side of the map, so I'm gonna use that side for his. And Escatapa just barely made it in the cut. Is on that side. Perfect. And then
nailed it.
All we gotta do is glue it on. You can do it just like a little bit apart if you like that to look. And I'm kind of putting it in the upper third of my page. And I'm gonna use Yes Paste. You also get this in your box in a little container. But sometimes I just like wielding around this big tub of Yes Paste. Actually, I'm gonna bring back my cutting mat. Where did I put it?
It disappeared. I found it. I know exactly where it is.
I was like, what? I'm looking everywhere, but I think it was on top of my toolbox, y'all. That was really embarrassing.
It's like a foot higher than everything else.
I'm like looking all around. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Yes Paste, it's like icing on a cake. Just put it on there, spread it around. And I just like this because, and I talk about this every time, but you know, if you're new here, we got to tell you the things. I like it because it's repositionable and it's water soluble. So if you really hated it, then you can like lightly wet it, whatever you're trying to do, and lift it up. But it takes a minute for it to dry, which gives you a little work time. And I like that. It's a little messier than like a glue stick or something else. So if you're not like too worried about it, you can use a glue stick. Whatever glue you like. I'm gonna put that right there. I like that. Looks good. All right. But I've been using this for a while and I really like it. And it's archival, which is nice to know. Given your paper that you're working with is like acid free. But you know, I don't really worry too much about my journal being archival. It's for fun. Like I'm not worried about it lasting forever. If I start thinking about that, then I'll get stressed about what I'm putting in there. So, but you do you. You know, if you want to think about that, that's okay too. All right, we did it. This glue comes off your fingers really easy in your paint water. My paint water is still clean, so it's fine.
That's lucky.
Yeah, we did it. So that's our Lagniappe project, and we've just had a good time in this journal this time. Had fun with this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this over here. Okay, now it's time for our Q&A.
The Q&A.
So these questions, we just saw them on our Facebook, and Keenan is going to
I'm going to read them one at a time.
Yes.
You let me know when you're ready.
I just want to put the lid on my Yes Paste so it doesn't dry out. That's really important.
That's a good call.
And I cleaned this off. And I'll tell you, sometimes you put off those things that you're too busy to worry about. But after I clean that, this is a better experience. So just take the time to clean it, and
Nice.
it'll be less hard. I mean, it's so easy to get on and off now. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Question number 1. This is from Beth. What do you recommend that we use to seal the journal cover so that the gouache and watercolor don't bleed?
Beth, that is a great question. Thank you for asking that. If you were right here with me, I would want to ask you a couple follow-up questions, like what are you trying to do? What are you worried about? Bleeding and whatnot. I've had this question asked a lot, and it gets asked in watercolor too, like what can I do to seal it? And for some people, it's all about preserving it from the light fading it. So if that's an issue, then we can talk about that as well. I don't worry about that too much in my journal because there's not prolonged light happening there. I mean, it's in a book and you open it and you enjoy it and then you close it. But there are people who like that Krylon spray that's a sealer. I personally have not had great experience with it. And maybe because I'm using it too close up or too far away, or I don't know. It is a fine mist, so in theory, it shouldn't be too disturbing to your work as far as it being water soluble and reactivating, but I kind of notice a little difference in my artwork after. So I don't love it. And I'm all about mixing things up as a mixed media artist, and I like breaking rules about what you're supposed to do versus like what I want to do and being creative and experimenting with that. So I don't want to like dissuade anybody from trying new things. But when it comes to water soluble media, I don't usually try to seal it with something wet because then that disturbs what you've got going on there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I think about layering in different ways. So I can layer with like graphite or pen or things like that with watercolor and gouache, but I don't typically seal it and then do something on top of it. I just try to work with the different materials and go with the nature of it sometimes, and then, you know, go with other things. So if I was going to layer something, I'd probably use acrylic for that rather than gouache and watercolor. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, question number 2. Cynthia says that she is one of the unfortunate ones who has not received her August box yet. She's waiting to watch the tutorials until she receives the box. Can you answer questions about the August materials at a later date when this glitch is resolved?
Oh, Cynthia, thanks so much for being here. We're excited you're here. I'm sure there are lots of things that you can be looking at while you're waiting for that box. But yeah, so for the Lagniappe, when we have this question and answer kind of set up in the Facebook group for me to answer, you can ask any question anytime. So there's no like, oh, we're past August now, you can't ask August questions. Like you'll see some of the questions that are coming up are from our July theme, our June theme. Yeah, so you are welcome to ask questions anytime here or in the Facebook group or customer service, whenever you want. We welcome those questions. And thank you for asking that. So that's a question that other people would want to hear too.
We like to answer questions.
Yes.
Okay, question number 3. Monica, rice paper collage. Will using rice paper be in a future tutorial? It looks so interesting. I ordered some, but really have no clue what to do with it. And how do you come up with the tutorials?
Okay, that's a couple part question there.
It's a couple part question.
All right, let's talk about rice paper collage paper. Rice
collage. Rice
yeah.
paper collage.
La, la, la.
Rice paper college.
I used rice paper in college for not collage.
What?
See, now I'm getting tricky.
Dang.
I actually had a professor who taught me how to do archival hinging, which is like a whole like technical thing. But basically, I worked at a museum and we would get prints like ready to frame. And, you know, when you're worried about things being archival and all of that, you're really, you know, cognizant of whether, you know, some acid-free paper is touching another paper or what will happen when they interact. So we used rice paper to build the hinge for that print to be on another piece of paper within the frame or whatever. So that's the first time I came in contact with rice paper. But we had some extra left over and I was playing around with it in one of my sketchbooks at the time. And I was pasting it down with matte medium, or you could use clear gesso. And once it's wet, you can kind of move it around and kind of make it like wrinkle up and get a texture, which is kind of fun. I didn't know that was a thing when I was playing with it because it was just like hanging out on my desk and I was like, I'm gonna do something with this, you know? So I haven't played with that specific collage paper probably since when I was at the university, but it is a cool thing that I'm starting to see as a trend coming up. And there's all kinds of ways for collaging in different types of paper like that we could explore. And I think that's a great idea. So thank you for asking about that.
Nice. Okay. Jill would like to see some examples of storage solutions when you have tons of bottles of Americana acrylic paint and other art supplies. Does LMA carry a good-sized bin that might work for this purpose?
Yes. So, well, no. Yes, no, and maybe. That's what I'm going to say. I thought of like 3 things at once.
That's okay.
I'm trying out a storage solution in my personal studio that Art bin made for paint that I might share at a later date.
Oh, snap.
So I just wanted to see how it works with my system.
Sneaky.
But also, we shared this Art bin before, and I just discovered that these Dina Wakley paints that I've been liking lately fit in here really nicely. So that's cool. And then that bigger compartment also. But I have seen, and I think some somebody chimed in on this question.
It was Sam.
Which
They said, I know you're asking Jesse, LOL, but wanted to share what I did with my Americana bottles. If you use dishwasher pods and the plastic container, you can buy Cascade pods in wait, I'm reading this terribly. Let me restart. If you use dishwasher pods, the plastic container you can buy Cascade pods in is the perfect height for the bottles.
Oh, because it's kind of like a squattier little guy.
And she painted the outside of it.
Oh, it's so creative. Okay,
Yeah.
So I love that she shared that with us, and I love that we're looking at these different solutions. And I think there's a lot of people who have creative solutions. I saw someone who was using those Keurig, I don't know if I'm saying it right, those cups that go in the machine to make the coffee.
Sounds right.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yep,
the little.
totally.
So someone found one of those spinner ones, and they had put their
Lazy
acrylic
Susan?
paint. Yeah, it's kind of like a Lazy Susan for those little coffee pod things.
Excellent.
And they put their acrylic paint in there. I've seen a lot of creative ways of organizing out there. So I think we should open this up for like a bigger discussion in the group.
That's a good
somehow.
idea. I like that idea.
I think that would be fun. And in the meantime, let's see what other people are doing and share that. I think that would be fun. Thanks for asking that question.
That's a great question. Okay, moving on. Suzanne, what is a good pen to write with on top of the Dylusions shimmer sprays?
Oh, okay. That is the tough one. And this kind of goes back to that mixed media conversation we were having a minute ago. Okay, so what if you, for our newcomers or anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about here, in July when we did Momentary Wonder theme, we explored things that can make us think like a kid again. And we'd use these Dylusion sprays, and they're really awesome. But, so she asked what kind of pen you could use on here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to show you what happens when you use some of these pens on this, because this is a water-soluble media, and sometimes the pen gets absorbed by the paint and disappears. Did you see that? There was a pen there, and then it went away. Because this is activated by water, and this is wet, and that's what happens, and it just kind of soaks it in. So your jelly pen is not going to work. Probably other pens may be a little bit harder. This is my Uniball pen. It's silver. I think we have this on the website. It looks like it's kind of holding its own on this a little more, and it's not fading.
It's shimmery.
Yeah, it's silver. And let's try the gold in that same line of pen. So this is yellow, and if it's picking up the blue behind it, it might turn a little green, but we'll see what happens. So we're seeing the jelly roll, not so much, but these Uniball pens are kind of holding their own there. So we might be onto something.
Nice.
Let's try a Posca. I tried these and I was like, I want to show how, so whoa, like that went away right away. Because it's wet, it's just picking up that pigment underneath it.
That is magical.
And it's acrylic, and because acrylic is wanting to match with this. Now these are more ink based, so I think that's why they're probably holding their own, because they're kind of repelling that situation. I love this Black Star ink, and sneak peek, this is going to be in the October box.
Oh snap.
I don't know if I said, can I say that?
I
just
think
did.
so. Yeah,
I already
you
did
just
it.
did. Too late.
So I'm going to try this ink and just make sure my brush is clean. All right. I think that this is going to just stand really nice on here. So it's holding its own. So you can try ink. That is what you can try. These other things, not so much. Oh, I was going to write wonder, but I didn't finish.
Oh, wand.
Wonder. Yeah. So that's what I suggest, ink over this. Otherwise, if it's acrylic, the water solubleness of the Dylusions is going to absorb it. But this is one of those things where it's like, okay, if you want to use Dylusions, you're going to be limited to what you can put on top of it. That's the fun of experimenting with mixed media, finding out what works with what and what doesn't. And that doesn't work, so now we know.
Nice.
Great question. I'm sure a lot of other people have been experiencing that and wondering what the heck is going on, and now we all can talk about it. Okay.
Okay. Moving on. Marcy Hello, Ford. Marcy says, I've heard people say they're making a napkin journal. What is that?
Oh, Marcy, thank you for being here in this community. You're always asking good questions and cheering people on, and we just love you. And we love seeing these names like come up that we know, that we see all the time.
And we're a big fan of Ford, too.
Yes, yes. Napkin journals. So people are so creative, aren't they? So funny. So I have seen this too, where people are taking like a napkin that you buy at Walmart or wherever that has like a little cute design on it, whether it's, I don't know, hearts or flowers or something like that. And some of those napkins are like 2 or 3 ply, so you take them apart and you get a more translucent sort of napkin than the 3 ply or whatever. And they're putting them in like Bible journaling and stuff. So you put it in and you use like matte medium or clear gesso and you adhere it to there, but it's like a little bit transparent, like you can see through it. So it's a lot like rice collage paper in that way. And it's kind of cool. So I think we are going to explore some sort of transparent paper collage in the future.
Nice. Exciting.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on again.
Okay.
Connie. Jessie always inspires me with her art. A lot of times it's hard for me to spark my own creativity. Would Jessie mind doing more of her personal journal flip-throughs during the Lagniappe videos?
Connie, thank you so much for being interested in what I'm doing. That's so kind. I meant to grab a journal before I left this morning that I was working on at home, and I forgot it. But I wanted to also say that you can find some of my more personal work that's not Lesmic art related on my Instagram at Jessie Petersen Art, so you can see some sneak of my work there. And right now, like just this week, I haven't made anything new in my journal, and that is crazy to admit to y'all. But I think it's because there are all these like cycles of creativity going on, right? And right now it's August and we are changing seasons and we may or may not be going back to school, or our kids may or may not be going back to school. And I think I'm just like prepping for something new. So I think it's important to recognize this, and this is why I wanted to say it, that there are different phases of creativity. And for me, I'm in that phase this week while my family is out of town, that I am organizing and cleaning and making room and space for something new. So I am excited about what's happening because I know that means I'm going to be making some new work to share, and that is okay. And I think it's good to practice our intention. I am okay with where I'm at in this cycle of creativity right now. I'm cleaning up my act and I'm organizing things, and I'm having fun revisiting some of these supplies that I haven't looked at in a minute because I'm organizing, like, oh, I forgot I had that. This is so cool. And that sparks an idea, right?
I do that with shirts.
You forgot you had that?
Yeah, I forget I have certain shirts. I'm like, oh.
But there's something about sort of like cleaning up and getting rid of stuff and purging that like sparks our creativity too. So I didn't want to fail to mention that, like wherever you are in your creative journey, there are takeaways. And we need to be kind to ourselves wherever we are. So yes, I didn't make new work in my personal journal this week, but I made space for time to be creative next week.
Nice.
So just a little thought.
Good. I like that thought.
And I will share more of my personal work, and you can also go see it where I was saying so.
Maybe.
Thanks for being interested. You guys are so kind.
So nice. Okay. Raylene, a newcomer, which is her name.
Yes.
She's not a newcomer.
It's fine.
This is tricky. This is Raylene.
And Raylene is someone who's been around in our community, cheering people on and asking awesome questions. Thanks, Raylene.
Yep. She said, I would love to see a month on junk journaling with pockets and foldouts and bling. Is this possible, Jessie?
I love junk journals, and I love having interactive elements. And I have something in November planned that's going to be interactive, so I think you might like it. It's not exactly what you're describing, but it is going to be fun, and I think you're going to like it. I hope you're going to like it.
It's only like 3 months away.
I know. Oh, these sneaks. I got to stop sneaking.
Yeah, you got to stop. They didn't even ask for sneak peeks.
I know. It's fine.
Michelle says, hello, Jessie Royston Petersen. I am a subscriber from the UK and adore my boxes and the tutorials. Do you have a bag that you use for your journaling equipment when you are out and about? Do you write down ideas and take photos maybe? I was wondering about ideas for the covers of the art journal books and personally would love a month on trees. I am a hug a tree person. And love doing forest bathing. Thank you. What is forest bathing?
So some of these questions I looked at ahead of time, and I was so intrigued by this. First, I want to say, wait, who?
Michelle.
Michelle. Thank you so much for being a subscriber, and it's so nice to know that we have friends all the way in the UK. That's awesome.
Yeah, serious. That's awesome.
And yeah, whenever I got to the forest bathing part of this question, I was like, I got to find out what that is. And I looked it up, and it's really cool. And now I want to do it. And I think it's a great idea. Okay, so this was a multiple part question. Let's break this down. The first thing she asked me was about a bag.
Yes.
Right?
Do you have a journaling bag for your equipment?
I mean, it's not like fancy or anything. Can't see me tote this thing around.
Yes.
I got this at a concert because I was like, I'm going to be more likely to use this bag than I am a shirt. I mean, I have lots of concert shirts, but anyway, this was from a concert, and it's just like a regular bag, right? But I love that my art bin has these bins that come out. So if I just want like my brushes and my paint, then I just throw those in my bag, and I grab my journal, and I might put a couple pins in here or my collage paper and a little glue, and I'm good to go. Like, it's probably not what you were imagining. It's not fancy or anything, but I love it because I can just, you know, take it and go. And then when I get home, I can just put my bins back in my bin, and we're good to go. So, okay, there's another part of her question that I did not answer.
Yes. Well, yes. I think the other part is, do you write down ideas or take photos maybe?
Yes. Well, I use my art journal for ideas for other art journals, so it's like just a whole thing.
Just a big circle.
Yeah.
So, the circle of life.
So, and I have different kinds of journals, right? Like I have journals that I'm testing out, like concepts for that I'm going to share with you. And I have journals that I'm like jotting down ideas because I think like that's going to be a cool thing to journal about. And then I have these more finished journals that I'm like, okay, this is like, you know, the journal that I'm like, it's fancy. This is my journal, you know, that I show to people or whatever. So yeah, I love doing that.
Nice. I like that. Okay, Marcia. Any thoughts on putting alcohol ink in a future box?
You guys. I'm actually testing some different brands out now. So if we can make that happen, it will be in a box next year.
Next year, 2021?
Yes.
All right. I'm excited.
But I love it. I love that you're excited about that because alcohol inks are cool. But they're tricky.
I've never seen them. I'll have to Google them.
Yeah. Or you could just walk upstairs and show you the ones I have on my desk.
That's so true.
It's fine.
I'll Google let's make art alcohol ink and see what shows up. Nothing will?
Not yet.
Nice.
It's coming.
All right. Emily asks, I would love to know more about the process of creating the monthly themes. Do you have a team working with you to develop them? How far ahead are you planning them? This is a loaded question.
There's a lot of good stuff in here.
There's a big answer to this, I feel like. Do you choose the new products or do others suggest new products and then you find ways to use them?
Emily, I love that you asked this question. Thank you for being interested in our process. There's a lot of different things that happen with this process, so I'll explain. Would you believe that I have all the themes planned out for next year? Every month, all 12 months.
All of 2021?
Mm-hmm. The themes. I know what the theme is going to be.
Good night.
I know, a little bit crazy. But I get excited about that because that's the part that I really think about a lot. So I come up with a theme and I think about what I hope to achieve through journaling in this sort of theme. And I kind of make some goals about how I'm hoping we'll feel when we're journaling about it, and you know, some ideas that we can learn with the technique or whatever. And some of those themes will line up where it's like, oh yeah, I totally want to do this specific type of paint and this technique, and this theme makes it easy because it's like obvious to me. And so I'll write those notes down. And so I have some notes written, you know, in the future about that theme paired with this idea. So like maps and gouache kind of just like happened in my head because I thought it would be fun. And these colors kind of went along with the map colors, you know, that we see. So that kind of lined up. Let's see. So yeah, so I'll work on that, but it never works out, you know, how I imagine in my head the first time. I mean, actually, every now and then it does, but for the most part, it doesn't. So right now with what's happening with COVID and like manufacturers not being fully open, or they're still trying to recover from not being open for a while, some of the sourcing is tougher. And we have an awesome sourcing team that works with us.
The sourcing team is the champions.
And our product manager, Desiree, is just so amazing.
Yep.
She helps facilitate those relationships with my favorite brands. And I'll say, I love this paint so much, and I just want to figure out how we can get this in a box, and these are the colors that I'm thinking of or whatever. And she'll work that out. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out because of COVID. Sometimes we think we got a thing, and then they're like, just kidding, never mind, we can't get that. And we have these crazy deadlines that we're working with. And the other crazy part of this is that our quantity is going up because you lovely people are signing up for this box. And so that quantity is now kind of tough to get, because it's like, hey, I want this many thousand things of paint, and our manufacturer may not have that many on their shelf. So then they need to make it for us. So then we need to be more ahead so that they can make it for us. So it's really important that I have all those things figured out so we can make paint for y'all, which is such an awesome thing to be happening.
Serious, it is amazing.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this whole juggling act, and I actually have this marker board that has like the themes for the next 6 months up, and things that I'm hoped for, things that I'd like, things that'd be cool.
It's an 8x4 double-sided marker board. It's not just a marker board. It's on wheels and has to be flipped to double check.
We push it around and talk about it and sit around it. I mean, it's pretty fun. So like the October box that's coming up soon, I really wanted this hot pink paint in there. So another sneak.
Snap.
Gosh,
Jesse, you gotta stop. They're gonna know the whole box.
I know. So I went through, I kid you not, 8 renditions of paint before we got what we wanted, because either they didn't have the quantity or they couldn't do it in the time frame that we wanted for this theme. And because it was October, I kind of was going for a vibe in October. I didn't want it to be like, you know, January or something. It was like, no, this is like a seasonal vibe we're going for. So there's those constraints, but that constraint, just like when I explain it in journaling, is like a good thing to have, right? Because if all your options were open all the time, I don't even know how anybody would make a decision. So sometimes those availability things like narrow down our choices, and then we get creative with what we can get. So she asked, like, you know, do they give it to you and then you come up with stuff, or do you say what you want? And it's a little bit of everything. Like, I usually have an idea of what I want and what I hope for, and then sometimes I have to work with what I can get, and then sometimes magic happens with that too. It's just like art journaling. It's just, you know, it's all over the place.
Process.
It's so fun. I really enjoy that process.
Cool.
It was a long answer.
That's okay. I think there's a lot to that question. I mean, there's a lot of information. I mean, we're working with timelines 4 to 6 months out just to get product.
Yeah, and the more it grows, the more product you have to get, the more time you need to make it for us.
Because everyone's struggling right now.
Yeah, but everybody's been so patient as far as customers go. Like, everybody gets it, and then our vendors have been really cool to like try really hard to make things happen, knowing our timeline. I mean, people are just so good and fabulous.
They really are. Okay, I believe this is the last question, unless you had a secret question that you were going to wait and spring on us. Okay, perfect.
No.
Last question. Linda, Gelli plate printing. I am back to trying, she puts that in air quotes, to finish this journal. Is using stencils with the Gelli plate the same as when we use the circle that came in the box? And what are some other ideas for using Gelli plate?
Okay, let me break this down for anybody who is new and following along. She's referring to the Nurturing Nature theme that we worked in. So if you want to check out those videos, that's what it is. And we did Gelli plate printing. And in that box came, I should have brought it with me, a punchinella, or like a little circle, little tiny circles, like stencil. And yes, you can use other stencils in the same way, and it's just so much fun. Same idea. So when you put the paint on the Gelli plate and then you put your stencil on it, you can do one print like that, take your paper off, take your stencil off, and then you can do another print. So like an invert of the original image. So that's a lot of fun to play around with, and depending on what your stencil is, you'll get a different look. And I would say, and I know someone else also asked about like more ideas with Gelli plate printing and whatnot in that string of comments. And I say just in the stencil alone, you can have so much fun. I know some people who just do stencils on their Gelli plate, nothing else. I mean, besides what we did, which with that theme, which was printing leaves and feathers and stuff like that, the stencils are fun. So you can play around with different color paints and stencils. You can put your stencil directly on the plate lined up, or you can do it a little off center and you can add a couple of different stencils on there. And then you can layer those stencils. You can do one stencil, take that off, do your first print, do your invert, then put another stencil on there. I mean, you can get crazy with just stencils.
Yeah, seriously
like, a lot of fun. So I would say just experiment and have fun. And my favorite thing to make with a Gelli plate is background collage paper for my journal for the future. And I like having a stack of that around. So there's no paper wasted in that experimental process. You can always use it somehow. So
nice. Cool. That was it. Last
all
question.
All right. Well, I love answering those questions here. It's a lot of fun to hear your ideas on what you're excited about future things. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love that y'all jump in and answer questions in the group for each other and you share your ideas. Oh, it's so awesome. So if you're interested in being in that community, if you don't know what we're talking about, you can go to our Facebook group, Let's Make Art Journals. You can also find us over at Instagram and search the hashtag Let's Make Art Journals there, or you can tag us in what you've been making and share it with us at Let's Go Make Art. Just a lot of fun people in this community making awesome things, inspiring each other, supporting each other, and I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Thanks for joining us for our Lagniappe episode, and we'll see you next time.